As I'm sure is the same with most of us, I learned what OCD is through media like TV and movies. And as a child born in the year 2000 with access to a family computer, I learned a little bit more about OCD from none other than these handsome fellows right here, Rhett and Link.
I gotta make things right, make it the way it's supposed to be. It's my OCD.
Now, we may have an idea of what we believe OCD is, but I wanted to make this short video to talk about what OCD really is versus what we might think it is. So, what is OCD? The 5th edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, otherwise known as the DSM, categorizes OCD by the presence of obsessions and or compulsions. Obsessions are recurrent or persistent thoughts, urges, or images that are experienced as intrusive and unwanted, whereas compulsions are repetitive behaviors or mental acts that an individual feels driven to perform in response to an obsession or according to rules that must be applied rigidly. Later, they also say that, importantly, obsessions are not pleasurable or experienced as voluntary. They are intrusive and unwanted and cause marked distress or anxiety in most individuals. So these obsessions and compulsions cause unwanted stress or anxiety in love and work and other things that have to do with your daily life. To meet the diagnostic criteria, there must be obsessions and compulsions or both. The obsessions or compulsions are time-consuming or cause clinically significant distress or impairment in social, occupational, and other important areas of functioning. Also, the obsessive-compulsive symptoms are not attributed to the physiological effects of a substance use or another medical condition. And finally, the disturbance is not better explained by the symptoms of another medical disorder, i.e. anxiety disorder, bipolar disorder, trichotillomania, excoriation, things like that. And it can be comorbid with anxiety, bipolar, and depressive disorders. OCD has about a 2.3% prevalence in the U.S. and can be seen to kind of varying degrees. Some of these rituals that people will have can include washing hands, checking light switches and locks, counting, or repeating words under your breath. Now that we've talked about what OCD is, what I really want to talk about is what is OCD not, because that's where I feel like we get tripped up. OCD is not just a quirky disorder that people say they have when they like organization and cleaning. While organization and cleaning can be certain rituals that people participate in, that isn't the only thing that happens. And I feel like when we talk about it that way, it just kind of treats this OCD like a quirky personality trait. I know two people very well who have OCD, and neither of them are organized. They have other rituals that are much more common for them. So that's just two examples of people that struggle with OCD but aren't obsessive about organizing and making sure everything's clean. Emphasis on cleaning is sometimes called contamination OCD. It's not necessarily the only thing, but contamination OCD is definitely a subtype. I also want to mention that a common phrase I feel like people hear is that I'm kind of OCD about that stuff, or my OCD is showing, something like that. Well, that is kind of a funny phrase. It kind of makes OCD seem like a personality trait, or like you're kind of treating as like a pet, when it's really a mental disorder. Solely physical routines like checking doorknobs and switching off lights, that is kind of the most common ritual you see, and that's definitely very prevalent, but that's not the only thing that people with OCD participate in. So OCD isn't just this quirky kind of personality trait that people have developed because they like things to be clean. It's a real mental disorder that is hard to deal with and can make you feel kind of stuck and lost, but there are treatments. The way that OCD is portrayed in media can be accurate for some people, but that isn't specific to everybody. That isn't universal for everybody that has OCD. So now you may be thinking, what are kind of typical treatments for OCD? We have two main ones: exposure and response prevention, or ERP, is kind of a typical talk therapy that helps people to get exposed to certain things that would stress them out and hopefully condition a better response for them. And second are SSRIs. And SSRIs, you may know, are used a lot for anxiety and depression, but they also help a lot with OCD. So I found a list of celebrities that have OCD, and I just wanted to share some of them. We've got Howie Mandel, Cameron Diaz, Justin Timberlake, Charlize Theron, David Beckham, Fiona Apple, Leonardo DiCaprio, and even old Blue Eyes Frank Sinatra. And all of those people have talked about their OCD at some point, except Frank Sinatra, but his wife has talked about it and can confirm that he definitely had OCD. So I just thought it was interesting because these are a lot of different types of people. We have athletes, really famous actors like Leonardo DiCaprio, Fiona Apple, who's a great singer, just kind of all around. Tons of people struggle with it, and these people are open about it, and you can look that up. So to wrap this up, OCD is a tough disorder and not something easily dealt with, but there are ways that you can get help, and I hope that this video helped to explain a little bit about what OCD really is.